Hey everybody, welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about notifications, specifically notifications from your home automation server to your mobile device. We'll do this by leveraging a very popular notification platform called Pushbullet. We'll start by using Pushbullet in the conventional way, sending messages from Node-RED to your Pushbullet client device. But we're not going to stop there. We're also going to look at how we can use Pushbullet to send messages back to your home automation system and kick off Node-RED flows. But wait, there's more. We're also going to build a workflow that leverages Pushbullet to allow us to send commands from our Google Home to Node-RED without opening any ports to the internet or worrying about setting up a dynamic DNS provider. It's going to be a good one. Let's get started. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to navigate to pushbullet.com and we're going to create an account there. So I already have an account because I had to prepare for this video, obviously. If you don't have one, you'll probably land on this page, and you can use either Google or Facebook as sign-in providers to create an account, or you can create one in the conventional way by filling in a web form. Either way, I've already got an account, so create yours. I'll sign into mine, and we're going to get dropped on this landing page right here. So yours is probably going to be a little more plain than mine, obviously, if you've just created your account. I've got a friend added, I've got my wife added to this contact list, and you guys will see why in just a second. But what we're going to focus on first is we're actually going to go straight to the settings page, and we're going to create an access token. And this access token is going to allow us to connect our home automation server to Pushbullet. So when I click this button, it's going to give me a random string of characters. I'm not actually going to click it just for security reasons. I know I could always blur it out, but I'd rather not open up my Pushbullet account to YouTube at the moment. Take my word for it. You click that button, it'll create an access token for you. We're going to take that access token and put it aside, copy it into a notepad file or whatever text editor you use, and just keep it on the side there. And we're going to get back to that in just a sec. And in Node-RED, not right now. Create a new flow, or you don't have to create a new flow. I'm just going to do it to make things clean. Go to Manage Palette, and we're going to be looking for Pushbullet. And install. Okay. So now that we have those nodes installed, let's run through an actual workflow that I use at my home. On my spare time, believe it or not, I'm kind of a dork. I spend a lot of time downstairs in my electronics lab, or I spend a lot of time out in the garage working on wood projects, and sometimes time gets away from me, and I don't even notice when my wife comes home, which doesn't make her extremely happy. So I'm going to run through a use case that helps me get through that that stumbling block. So I'll show you what I've done to my Home Assistant setup since we last looked at it. I've added my wife's phone as a tracked device on Home Assistant. So when she comes and goes online and offline, a Home Assistant obviously triggers an event. So I'm going to use that information. I'm going to take that back to Node-RED, and I'm going to bring out a Home Assistant event state node, and I'm going to say the binary sensor name is going to be device tracker Alex Pixel or Alex Pix. Okay, and we're going to say done to that. And now this will, let's give it a friendly name. That's too formal. Alex Home Away. All right. So we're going to take that and we're going to run that into a switch node. Now, if you're not following along, in the device tracker video that I put together, I think it was called the presence detection video that I put together earlier, we went over how the device tracker functionality reports whether you're home or away. And that is with giving out a string, either home for when your device is pingable, or not home when your device becomes not pingable for a predetermined amount of time. So So in this case, we only need to know when Alex comes home. So that'll be the top box because it's the first one I defined there. And when she's home, I want to just simply get a message sent to my Pushbullet account that says, hey Brad, Alex is home. Maybe it's time to go inside the house and spend some time with your family. So the device ID is going to be all. The Pushbullet config I have not added yet. So I'm going to do this quickly. I'm not going to show myself doing it because, again, the privacy thing. Basically what you do is you click this. It will expose a name for the Pushbullet account, which can be anything. And again, that API key that we generated earlier. Or if you didn't generate it and write it down, you can just go back and do it right now. So don't be surprised if we jump from this screen to somewhere else, because I'm probably going to cut this whole part of the video out just so you can't see the access token. Like what I did there? Awesome. So Pushbullet, Brad's Pushbullet is configured. The device ID we're going to be sending to all devices for now. The type is going to be a note. The title is going to be HA notification. That's just what I use. You can use whatever you want. This is just going to be the title of the message that gets sent by Pushbullet. And the name, we'll just call it Pushbullet to all devices. Okay, and done. And we're not actually done yet. This is missing a important link. So I don't know if you noticed, but inside here, there's no place to put the actual message you want to deliver. And that's because it's going to deliver whatever is in the message.payload from the node that feeds into it. So for instance, if we were just going to hook up a timestamp injector here, it would just push a timestamp message into Pushbullet, and I'd get that on my phone. That's not exactly what we want. To make a custom message, I think the easiest way is just to bring a function node up, double click on the function node, and basically the function's only job is to return the message right now, the message being whatever it got from the home away that we're going to hook it up to. We are going to intercept that message and change it. So let's give the function node a name. We'll just call it create message content. You can also name that whatever you want. And we're just going to manually set the message.payload value. So we're going to say in JavaScript rather, message.payload equals Alex is home. And we'll then finish that off with a semicolon there, which I think is the proper syntax. And we'll say done to that. And now instead of the home away going directly to the Pushbullet all devices, we're going to have the home away feed into this custom message node. Okay, so Alex's phone is upstairs, and it's also set up on a 1 hour, 1 hour home away timer thing. So I'm not going to be able to show you with the actual phone this time. Blame laziness, I guess. But we're going to simulate this flow going through with a home message. And we already know this works because we've set it up in a previous automation. So the best way to do that is let's just force a message flow to bypass this part that's going to take time and get to the juicy part of it where we set the message content and Pushbullet it to all my devices. So just because to make this legitimate, I will turn my webcam on and I will look at my smartphone, which is being really reflective right now, and we will click on this injection node and see if the message makes it to my phone. So it's clicked, and my phone has now gotten the message, and I know that is blurry as anything, but you're gonna have to take my word for it that says Alex is home. Maybe I don't even know if that's... Well, I think you can at least tell by that super blurry image that it says something. And you're just going to have to take my word for it that it says Alex is home. Okay, so let's turn that off. And, to be honest, this functionality isn't surprising. There's a lot of different ways you can do this. There's notification engine functionality built into Home Assistant. I believe it covers more services than just Pushbullet. It probably uses pushover and all those different, growl and prowl and all that stuff. Notifications aren't exciting. What is exciting is talking back to your smart home, and that's what we're going to cover next. So to do that, you'll notice that Pushbullet has two node types. It's got an output node, which was what we've been using, but it also has an input node. So we're going to bring this Pushbullet in, and we're going to say the Brad's Pushbullet config, the same one we used before that's set up with my device ID. The name of this node is going to be, I'll just call it Pushbullet in, Pushbullet input, and the device filter, it's going to listen to all of my devices. I have a Huawei 6P, I've got a Lenovo Tab, and I've got apparently I have an undefined device too. I'd have to figure out which one that is, probably the desktop client. So I will say done to that, and now this guy is listening. So let's see what that actually looks like. I'm going to throw a debug node onto it. I go to the debug window, I'll set it to just the current flow, throw everything else in the garbage, and I'm going to connect these two for now and deploy. So now I will go on my phone and I will sign into the phone, and I'm on Pushbullet now. I'm going to send a message that just says hello, and sent, and you'll see that message payload just appeared over here, which means we are now able to send string content into Home Assistant. Or did I say, I meant to say Node-RED. We're able to send string content into Node-RED. And I guess Home Assistant too, using Node-RED. But more directly, we're sending string content into Node-RED. And anytime you can send string content to Node-RED, you can create automations. So how I would do this is I would set up one Pushbullet listener. I guess it doesn't hurt to have more if you want to separate it by different flow types. Like say you have a Pushbullet listener in the climate flow, or a Pushbullet listener in like your lighting flow. I think that's fine too. The important part about the Pushbullet listener is that we hook it up to a switch node, and that switch node is filtering flows based on the content of that message. So we'll call this, you know, what can we call it? We'll call it the text parsing switch node. That's probably the least original name possible, but I just couldn't come up with anything on time, and you know I hate editing these videos, so this is what you get this time around. So let's make an automation to turn on my office light, and we're gonna make a keyword, and that'll be turn. Actually, all lowercase just because it's easier to type. We'll say turn on office. Okay. And you know what, guys? It's pretty late at night for me. My creativity is kind of dying here. Hopefully, you can come up with some better, easier to type, you know, keywords that don't have underscores or stupid stuff like that. So, thanks for cutting me some slack on this one, but I'm going to go ahead with what I have here. So turn on office is going to be the keyword to the rest of my flow. And obviously you'll have multiple switch paths in here, because you're not just going to use Pushbullet just to turn on and off the light in one room. It's going to be for multiple different things. So, you know, you'll be adding more and more of these, but in my case, I'm going to just use turn on office just for the example. Okay. So then we will obviously go grab a call service node from Home Assistant. And the Home Assistant domain will be, I think it's lighting, is it? Switch, light. Service will be turn on. Okay, the light will be, let's go to the actual Home Assistant thing and get the office light. Need the next one. There it is, light.office_light. Oh, wrong Node-RED. We'll go to this. Hold on. Yeah, it's got to be in quotes. Light.office light. and that's all we're going to set for now. We can put in like brightness and color temp and all that stuff too, but for now this is the command to turn on my light office light, and we'll call this turn on light in office. Just bubbling over with creativity tonight, folks. Okay, so let's do this. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of this debug node for now. I'm going to quickly run a test that everything's working properly before I try the real deal. We'll debug that. We will say, okay, so that turned on my office light. I'll have to go turn it, actually we'll turn it off via this. We'll just cheat it off. Done, deploy. Okay, now it's off. Let's return this functionality back to on. And done. We'll get rid of this guy for now. So now we're going to test the entire flow. So I will turn on the webcam, and you can see here that I've got my phone and I'm in a room that's, you know, not extremely well lit. It's lit by my monitors and some of the light leaking in from the other one, from the adjacent room. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and type turn underscore on underscore office. And again, I implore you to use something other than a word with underscores, or, you know, you can use spaces. There's nothing stopping you. I just chose this out of lack of creativity. Choose something easy to type, especially if you want to communicate back to your home automation system. It doesn't care how fancy your wording is. It can just be the word office for all it cares. But anyway, let's send this and see if it works. So it's sent, and sure enough, the light in the office comes on. And that was a great example of calling a Node-RED flow using Pushbullet. And again, this is something that, when it's explained, makes sense, that if it can talk out to Pushbullet, sure, it can receive in. The next part is what really blew my mind. I was having a conversation this morning, a comment conversation with one of the commenters on one of my previous videos, and they were concerned with opening up their home automation system to the open internet in order to use Google Home. And if you watch the Google Home video, I do say that, you know, as far as I'm aware, the only way to have Google Home communicate back to your home automation system is by opening up some ports and doing a WebSockets call or a webhooks call from IFTTT back into your home automation system to fire off a flow. Well, it seems like I was wrong with that. When I started designing this Pushbullet example in my mind this morning on my train ride to work, I came up with another way to do it. We're going to use our Google Home to create an IFTTT automation that sends a Pushbullet message. And that Pushbullet message can get read by Node-RED, just like we did this time, and it won't have to have any connections from the external internet inward. It'll just be a static read from Node-RED to the Pushbullet service. It doesn't rely on opening any firewall rules, doesn't rely on dynamic DNS, anything like that. HTTPS, nothing. So I'm going to do a quick example of that, then I'm going to wrap for the night. Okay, so I've got my Google Home down here. I'll turn on that webcam, and we're going to quickly go set up an IFTTT flow for the Google Home. So we'll go to ifttt.com, and we will go to My Applets, and let's make a new applet. This component will be Google Home, or the Google Assistant. And if you think I'm going too fast for any of this, just go back and watch the Google Home video. I go through it a lot slower, and we analyze each step along the way. But I'm just going to whip through this. I'm going to create an automation when I say, "Hey Google," okay, I don't want to actually trigger my Google Home right now. It just went off. We will.
Sorry, I don't understand.
Yes, I know. You will soon. So I want to make it go off when I say. We'll call it test. I'll say no more dynamic DNS. And that will be the only phrase I say in response. Google will say, "Whoa, really?" Because, that's what I would say if someone told me this morning that there was a way to do this without opening those ports. That component is going to be a Pushbullet, and we're going to push a note, and the title will be, from ghome, and the message is going to be turn off office. You know, we've come this far, we might as well continue with the trend of terrible underscored messages. So that's there. We're going to finish it. And so if I say that, it'll push that note. Let's quickly go create that automation. And I just closed my Node-RED. Okay, we will create that automation, duplicate this, and the Pushbullet input will be, yeah, that's right. The text parsing switch, it'll be looking for off, turn off office like we specified, and we'll duplicate this as well, and this will be, we'll go from turn on to turn off, and light office light, everything's good. Done to that. Connect these nodes up. Now I actually haven't tried this yet. This will be my actual first time trying this out, so let's hope it goes right the first time. If you see a bunch of quick camera cuts, you'll know that it didn't go so well. Let's rename this so it makes sense to the viewer. Done to that, deploy it, and now let's give it a shot. So I'm going to say, okay Google, no more dynamic DNS.
Well, really?
And there we go. It did take a little bit longer, admittedly. I didn't speed up or slow down the video. Everything was done in real time. And I was starting to get a little bit nervous, but you'll notice in the video picture-in-picture there, the lights did go down, and in fact they did. So we just successfully pushed a message from Google Home into Node-RED, opening no ports with no dynamic DNS, and I really hope that this was an enlightening experience. It certainly was for me. Thank you very much to all the people in the comments that have been, you know, sharing ideas and stories and stuff. This is the kind of thing that drives great content, and I'm really happy to have found this along with you. Anyway, like I said, I'm going to call it a night. I've obviously been up doing this way too long tonight. So I will see you guys soon. I got some really cool videos planned coming up now that we've got a lot of the hardware added in. We're going to be playing with some more custom firmwares like Tasmauto and things like that. And we're going to be making more super cool automations. So thanks very much for watching. See you soon.